Test, test. Jeff Lerner here. Wondering, hoping that everyone can see me and hear me. We're supposed to start here in about 1 minute, 50 seconds and counting. So we're gonna hopefully make sure everyone can see and hear me. "26 seconds. Hydrate the vocal cords with some Kangen water. Five, four, three, two, one, and we should be live. But are we live?
What I do. There are things that are bigger than you. You know.
Now I got all kinds of weird stuff happening. Oh, we got, looks like people on. I'm getting a weird little error here. Appreciate your patience while we get this going. For some reason, the live training page on Power Life Pro isn't wanting to cooperate with me. Let me see if I open it in another browser if it wants to be a little more friendly. I just want to make sure you guys can all hear me. Since I can't hear you, I want to make sure you can hear me before I launch into a whole spiel. I think my problems. Man, I just know I did it right this time too. Can you guys turn? Yeah, the page is down for me too. So I just got a note that the page on the Power Life Pro site won't load. Let's It's no good. Let me see, guys, if I can reach somebody at on the Power Life Pro side of things, and we can. I don't know if we need to reset a server or what. Appreciate everybody's patience. Of course, I don't even know if I'm speaking to anyone, but if I am speaking to you, I appreciate your patience. I'm trying to reach the Power Life Pro team to see if we can get this fixed, or if Tactical Tuesday is going to have to turn into, I don't know, tactically terrible Tuesday or something. It definitely seems to be contagious. All right, I'm going to try to reach one more person. I appreciate everyone's positive attitude about this. Whatever doesn't kill us does make us stronger, but it may mean Tactical Tuesday is a no-go. Or rather, Tactical Tuesday will need to be rescheduled. And if that is the case, then that's what we'll do. Bummer, bummer, bummer. Oh, don't tell me it's back up. Is it back up? Well, look at that. Well, maybe I got ahead of myself. Still not quite coming through. Hang on. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna try to pull this out of the fire here then. Okay, guys. Well, I'm gonna. Hold on, I'm hearing this like 5 times, so fire here then. I gotta close some stuff down. Hold on, I'm hearing this like 5 times, so fire here then. I gotta. There we go. Okay. Let's just do it, all right? And I had this whole big plan. I was gonna do the first, I think, the first ever Tactical Tuesday standing up because I can. And it's late in the day and I'm gonna move around because I need the energy. So let's talk, guys. I wanted to start today by, hang on, let me get my screen all laid out. If you guys have seen me on a Tactical Tuesday before, you'll know that usually I'm doing this from my office, and today I'm at my house, my home office, which means I got a whole different setup I got to get used to. So bear with me, I'm going to move some stuff around. I got a little thrown by our technical issues. Okay, so first question, I guess, since I am standing up, can everybody hear me? And if not, I'll go sit back down. Okay, cool, cool. So, all right, I wanted to start by kind of revisiting where we left off on Sunday with the team call that we did on Sunday. And what I basically did on Sunday was I kind of recapped for anybody that wasn't there the event in Vegas, both the Enagic portion of the event and also the Power Life Pro portion of the event, and all the reasons why I thought it was wonderful and spectacular, and it just renewed my passion and drive and focus and sense of purpose for what it is that we're doing here. And I won't restate everything that I said on Sunday, except to say that, again, my big takeaway from the weekend, or from the week, I guess the week before last, was the culture, what I'm calling for myself, a culture of simplicity that exists within Enagic and that exists as a part of this, and as I think a result of this particular product, where in the past, particularly with internet-based marketing strategies or internet-associated marketing strategies, there's been kind of this sense that me as the marketer, me as the business owner, I have to create a bunch of additional value. I have to, be really clever in how I explain things, or find the hook, or essentially be a really good salesperson or a really good marketer in order to make something sound sexy or substantive. And with this, I feel like less is more. I feel like the best thing you can do is get out of your own way. I said on Sunday, the hardest thing for me about this business is knowing how to shut up, to just say, look, here's what it is, or to step back and push play on a video and let somebody just watch the video and let the video speak for itself, and not want to jump in right as soon as the video is over and start answering 100 questions that they haven't even asked me. It's really just to let this be as good as it is, and that by nature does the work for you in a lot of cases. And that's just been a huge eye-opener for me, to just simplify in everything that I do. And one of the great takeaways from the event that goes right in line with that was Aaron Rashkin's 4-step process for how you work this, or really any type of business like this. And one of the reasons I'm kind of restating all this is because there was a foul up in getting our Sunday's call recorded. So for anybody that missed it, this is kind of what the highlights were. But basically, this 4-step process was to identify your prospect, but also to identify the angle that makes sense with your prospect. And in particular, we talked about coming at it from a health angle, coming at it from a business angle, or coming at it from a referral angle, which is kind of a subset of each of those, but not trying to come at it with no angle. Don't just kind of sort of puke all of the business and the health. I mean, really figure out what somebody's touch point is, and let them discover the other over time. So that was identify. The second stage was expose. You got to expose the business. That's what Power Life Pro makes so easy to do, because of all the links they have in the back office that are even sort of specific to different scenarios in which you're trying to expose the business. The third step was validate, where you're wanting to, once you've exposed somebody to a single piece of content, again, I said it on Sunday, I'm not a big fan of sending somebody 3 videos to watch. I think you want to know somebody well enough, or have identified your angle well enough to say, hey, here's the one piece of content that I'm going to send to this person. And hopefully it's not a 2-hour lunch where you explain it all yourself, because that doesn't look good. You need to just send them something. Just send them one thing. And then the follow-up to that is the validation step, where you're going to send them additional material based on questions or feedback that you've received from them. And then the most effective form of validation, I believe, is to try to set up a 3-way call with someone who's a perceived expert in the business, likely your sponsor or maybe your 6A upline. A lot of people in this company are really willing to do those kinds of calls. And then the final step, the fourth step, is just collecting a decision. Once you have exposed somebody to the business, you've validated with additional material, you've set up whatever necessary call to sort of reinforce and edify the business and the community. At that point, you should probably give yourself a 24-hour window to say, I'm going to get a decision. And anything other than a yes is a no for now. Just don't get caught chasing the yes, because what you'll do is you'll turn a future yes into a present no if you chase too hard. So just say, hey, are you in or you out? Basically, I'm busy. I'm building a big team. I want to focus on people that are hungry, and that now is the time. Is now the time? And if they say no, now is not the time, that's great. That doesn't mean they've said there never will be a time, but it means you're free to move on. And if you want to circle back with them in 3 months, that's fine. I just see so many people that burn up. They literally, that's what burns them out is the chase. They act like there's only one person in the world that's a potential candidate for their business, and they burn up all their energy chasing one person when there potentially is 100 other people they could have been talking to. So identify, expose, validate, collect. That's the IEVC method. Credit to Aaron Rashkin for that. So that's kind of my recap of the Vegas event. Culture of simplicity, the identify, expose, validate, collect model. And again, for me, I think it's really important when you're identifying the prospect that you identify the angle and the messaging. And this is really what I want to talk more about later in this conversation, but that you really identify the angle. Am I going to talk to this person about health? I'm going to talk to this person about business. And I'll tell you, I've come up with, I think, a really good analogy for how this business can work. And in particular, why I'm so comfortable talking to people about the health benefits. And, let me be clear. I've never been in any kind of a home-based business or a direct sales company or anything where there was anything sexier about the business than the money and the business. This is the first time I've ever been in something where I will have a conversation with someone about what it is that I do, and there can, depending on who it is and what I've identified as the angle, there could never be any conversation about the fact that it even is a business. And it's interesting because the first time that I ever heard of a Kangen water machine, I realize now, was many years ago. And the guy never let on to me that it was a business. And he was just so excited about what it had done for him and his wife from a health standpoint. And then it was actually somebody that was in a business with me at the time. And I think that it was actually almost out of respect that he didn't tell me that this was a business, or because he didn't want to, or that at the time that Enagic was a business, because he didn't want to seem like he was trying to, cross recruit or anything like that. But still, and I think that's the embodiment of this. He was so passionate about the product that even though it was a business, and even though he knew I was in home business, and in fact we were in home business together, he didn't mention that it was a home business because he didn't want to contaminate the conversation, I think, is how he would have looked at it. And he just really wanted to do a good thing for a friend and talk to me about a great health product. And frankly, at the time, I was actually really interested. I was going to buy one because I was staying at his house and he showed me all the cool things that it did. It was the SD 501. I realize now it wasn't the K8. It had kind of the 80s or 90s looking push button interface. But when I got home, he never followed up and never emailed me about it, and I ultimately forgot. And it wasn't until I got back in the business now that I even remembered that had happened. But anyways, so what I want to talk about is this concept that I hear a lot about. I get a lot of questions about it. It comes up on my team trainings. It comes up when I'm having conversations. It comes up particularly when I talk to people who I've been in business with in the past, in online marketing or online direct selling, and they'll say something to me like, well, is Power Life Pro for your warm market or for cold traffic, or for your cold market? Or is is this business, these water machines, can you sell them to your cold market or just your warm market? And I like the question. It implies a certain amount of understanding about marketing, but what I have found with this product is, more than anything I've ever dealt with before, I have this concept, well, I've never had this concept until I had this product to promote, of what I call a warmed up market. Meaning, by no means do I think that friends and, if you're in a business where your entire business model consists around talking to people that are already your friends and family, then you're not in a business. You're in somewhere between a hobby or a project and almost even maybe a pity party, saying, well, I can't sell this to anyone that doesn't already know me, but so maybe you'll buy from me because you do. But on the other extreme of that is this idea of the cold market, where, look, if you're selling an online marketing business that's just geared around, high ticket commissions and instant bonus upgrades, and the Mercedes bonus or the Ferrari bonus, and making millions on your first 10 sales, and forced pass ups where if you don't buy the highest level product, then you're gonna pass all your commissions up to your sponsor. So your sponsor does a little dance where they're like, well, if you do buy the product, then you're going to get the big commissions. But if you don't buy the product, then all your big commissions are going to pass up to me. So I'm actually being a nice guy and telling you that you need to buy the biggest product. When you're in a business that has that kind of language around it, which, by the way, nothing wrong with it. 20 years from now, you're not going to have put years on somebody's life with a business like that. But you might have made them some money, and you might have given them some really good training about posture and positioning, about business model and the way the cookie crumbles and all that good stuff. But that's a business where you can essentially, you're not going to warm up a cold traffic or a cold market. Essentially, if you're just soliciting people cold, you're going to have to focus on emotional triggers and getting really good at copywriting and finding out how to make your offer really blingy and really flashy, and try to get lots of attention and draw people in for sort of emotional reasons. But with this product, you can market yourself in a way that is sort of the anti-home business hype. You can market yourself in a way that is very authentic, that is very down to earth, that doesn't act like you don't like money. I'm not saying act like the business fundamentals aren't important, but you don't have to be all about the bling, and you don't have to be, trying to make, have the Eiffel Tower in the background of every picture so that everyone knows you're a world traveler. Like, you don't have to play that way with this. And in so doing, in being a real person, what I've observed is that you start to create what I call a warmed up market, where people these are people who don't know you, they didn't know you. And as you're bold and confident and put yourself out there, but you're not obnoxious and you're not flashy like a lot of stuff on the internet tends to be, you start to attract, there's all different people out there. And maybe the people that want to make a $20,000 commission on their first sale but also never want to talk to anybody on the phone, they just wanted to convert through a funnel, maybe you're not going to attract that guy. But maybe the mom with 4 kids who's really concerned about her family's health, and also wants to make some extra money because her husband's stressed out and working overtime, she's going to see you. And she never would have gone for other offers that might have attracted that first person, but she's going to start to warm up to this. And I realize I'm speaking in maybe stereotypes or generalities, but you know, we're marketers. We have to think in categories of people, and we don't have to apologize for it. That's what profiling is. That's demographic analysis, and that's what we do. And so really start to think about in your marketing, who am I attracting? Who am I appealing to? And I think that the most important thing about warming up your market so that you can have those tailored conversations and you can start to, and I go back to Aaron Rashkin a lot because he's a great marketer and he's my upline. He does a great job of this. He posts content that is profound and insightful, and it creates people wanting to reach out to him and wanting to have private conversations with him to where he's not really having to reach out to a lot of people. And I try to do a lot of the same things. I don't do it as much on Facebook. I do it a lot through other channels, through some other business channels and stuff that I have. But I'm basically trying to say, you know, how can it's like they even talk about in spiritual practice that the best evangelism is to just be a living witness to whatever it is you believe, and let people come up to you and say, what is it that makes you different? What is it that drives your results? What is it that has you, you know, carrying yourself with a certain bearing that I admire, and that's doable with this business. And maybe, dare I even say, maybe for the first time in the history of home business, you can have something that you literally just walk around with that casts off such an aura. I mean, even physically, just drinking the water and the transformation of what the energy in your body. I've noticed that the less I make it about this hot new business, and the more I make it about just sort of, yeah, I've got this new thing in my life that's been really transformational, financially, professionally, personally, and physically, and even for my family. People just kind of gravitate and want to know about it, and then that's what I mean by warming people up. So with that in mind, I wanted to take this notion of identifying the prospect and identifying the angle and having the conversation. I wanted to take this to the next level, because this is just how I think. I have to get really organized with the way I do things, or else honestly I feel lost. I feel like I'm just floating off into space and you know, waiting for something to bump me in another direction. Unless maybe I'm a control freak or something. I have to have systems for everything. And so I've come up with, and hopefully you can get some value out of this, because it really has done wonders for me. I've come up with a taxonomy, if you will, for classifying everybody that I'm going to talk to about this business. And it didn't happen at first, it just kind of happened naturally. And basically what I've come up with is I have a level 1, a level 2, and a level 3 conversation that I'm going to have for each of the angles that I talked about, for the health angle or for the business angle. So that's 6 potential conversations I can have. A level 1 conversation, level 2, level 3, in increasing degrees of complexity about the health angle or about the business angle. Now, if you remember, if you were on the call on Sunday, I talked about, and now I don't have my notes from that call, so I'm hoping I remember exactly what I said, but I talked about qualifying people at 4 different levels. You want to qualify, when you're going through the identification process, you want to be qualifying people for, you know, the financial wherewithal to participate in your business. You want to qualify them for comprehension. Do they understand your business, or do they understand the product? Whatever angle you're pursuing, are they capable of understanding it? Are they capable of participating in it? You qualify them for compatibility. is it somebody you want to work with? Is it somebody you want to sell a product to? Or is it somebody where you know before you even sell the product that they're going to be calling you, every other night at 2 in the morning, asking you to fix their plumbing because you sold them a water machine and now their life is your responsibility. And there was a fourth thing that you're supposed to qualify people about. And like I said, it's late in the day, so forgive me that I can't remember. But anyway, that's enough. Those three right there are enough to kind of illustrate my point that before you just launch into conversation with someone, have a game plan. And this is my game plan, is to say, okay, am I coming at this from a health angle or a business angle? And within that, am I having a level 1 conversation, level 2 conversation, level 3 conversation? And it's kind of based on the person's qualification within that, those criteria. And what this requires is that you're able to talk about the business at varying degrees of complexity. Because we all know there's different kinds of people. You've probably seen like the DISC profile. There's different personality, the Taylor Johnson personality spectrum. There's all kinds of different ways of analyzing people, and different people. Some people want to know all the information. Some people want to be captivated emotionally. Some people just want to follow a leader. So you got to kind of assess, where do I think people are coming from? But for me, what I found is, and particularly with this specific situation, it just kind of comes down to how deep do you need to go with someone. And this is how I've broken it down. Level 1 conversations, whether you're talking about health or you're talking about the business. What meaning really, are you talking about the product and the health benefits, or are you talking about the system and the business angle? Level 1 is stories. And we'll talk more about that. But what's happened for you? What's happened for someone else that you know? What's happened for the guy you saw in the video? Whatever it is, telling a story, and that can be kind of the basis of any conversation. These levels, they tend to kind of stack. But for a lot of people, as soon as you go any further than a story, you've started to go backwards. And that's, and frankly, that's kind of the easiest one to deal with. Because a lot of times a good story followed up by a shared video, that's it. I would say of, and I'm getting up, I'm almost at 90 now, total sales in my organization, and I've participated in a lot of those. A lot of those have been done by people on my team, but even those, I've done a lot of the 3-way calls and stuff. So I've had enough sales to say that, I guess I have a little bit of data, and I would say at least half of all sales require nothing other than a good story and then sharing a video. And then in some cases following up with a conference call. Okay, now a level 2 conversation is basically going to be, I would say, descriptive, but not technical. A level 2 conversation about the business could be basically saying, it's really great because I'm involved in this. Well, don't start by saying it's really great. Sorry, rewind the tape. Don't say it's really great because. Just say, yeah, I'm involved in this new thing where I don't have to talk a lot. Actually, that's kind of one of the reasons I like about it. I don't consider myself a great talker, a great salesperson. And so this system called Power Life Pro gives me a lot of really effective tools for working the business. It has videos that I can share. It has some lead tracking software built into it. It has it automates the referral process so that if somebody wants to purchase a product from me, it automatically gets tracked to me and I get the commissions. So it's just a very simple, elegant, and savvy way of running a business that makes my life a lot easier.
And you know, something like that. That's a fair description of what Power Life Pro is. There's a little bit of story interwoven into it, but it's not technical by any means. Similarly, on the health side, you know, if you wanted to be descriptive of an adjective, I would say something like, you know, I've learned so much through doing this business. So again, you know, kind of building off a story. It's just really amazing what you think you know versus what's actually out there. And you know, I always heard about alkaline water. Alkaline water is nothing new, but I've learned that alkaline water that you buy in stores it actually, even though it's technically alkaline, your body can't actually process it as alkaline water because when they alkalize it, they do it with minerals. They do it by adding solids. So essentially your body intakes the water and it treats it like food because solid equals food. And so it sits in your stomach. It doesn't pass into your intestine. You know, and even that's starting to get a little technical, but just say, yeah, it's just crazy. And and then on the flip side of it, I've been able to throw away all my cleaning products. I never understood that the properties that make cleaning products do what they do have to do with acidity and alkalinity. It doesn't have to do with the fact that they're nasty chemicals. And so literally just with water that's been charged with electricity, I've been able to get rid of, you know, Clorox and Formula 409 and calcium lime rust, you know, CLR, and you know, so again, just sort of keeping it intriguing, but again, not technical. So that would be kind of a level 2 conversation on the health side. And that's what's going to happen is they're going to typically respond with questions. Now, when they respond with questions, send a video. Don't get caught in the back and forth right out of the gate. But you have to have enough. You can't just say to somebody, I'm involved in this thing. I think it's really great. I'm going to send you a video. Will you take a look? I mean, if they're your friend or family, maybe. But for somebody that you're wanting to be part of this warmed up market, they're going to want to hear a little bit from you. I think it's naive to think that we can just take ourselves out of the equation. And this is where, you know, a lot of this business is developing yourself as a communicator, not as an orator, not as somebody who has this great ability to, you know, just go off with these you know, SAT words for hours and hours at a time. I mean more of a sort of an astute communicator, meaning what does this moment call for? What is this? How much is too much? How much is just enough? How much is not enough? How do I effectively tee up the next step, which is some sort of a share, some sort of a video, maybe it's giving them a gallon of water, whatever it is, so that I can demonstrate that a little bit of conversation coupled with a little bit of action is a very powerful formula for how to build a successful business. And then once that happens, but with a little bit of the level 2 conversation and then an outreach or an exposure, I should say, with like a video, then they're going to come back to you with questions that are either going to take it up to level 3, it just depends on what kind of a person they are, or they're going to bring them back to level 1. Typically, they're going to say, you know, so you send them the video, and then they're going to come back and say, yeah, you know, that was really cool. Tell me more about what you were saying about the guy that, you know, you know, had a diabetic ulcer on his foot, and he was able to make it go away with the 11.0 water. Tell me more about that. And that's a person who's wanting a story. They're saying, give me more level 1 conversation. I want, you know, that's a person that maybe they like the movie The Notebook. They like to have their strings tugged on. And so give them what they're asking for. Don't try to start talking to them about microclustering and, you know, breaking down covalent bonds between molecules. But some people are going to want that. Some people are going to come back to you and say, Well, you know, this is hogwash, or maybe they're not going to be that cynical, but they're going to say, so how on this earth can water emulsify oil? Come on. Water and oil are separated. That's why they say like oil and water. Those two get along like oil and water. And you say, well, it depends on the alkalinity of the water. In fact, it actually depends upon the power of hydrogen of the water, which is what pH literally means, power of hydrogen, or translated, actually it's the German, which I forget, it's like Pote of hydrogen or something. That was more French, I guess. But you know, what it's basically saying is that when you have enough hydrogen dissolved in the water, then it's able to break the bonds between the lipids and the oil. And that's actually why the water does such different things in your body, because when you compare it to, say, store-bought alkaline water, which they're both alkaline because they have a positive pH, a pH above 7.0. But one is alkaline because of the added minerals, which is going to usually be some sort of potassium or sodium or calcium mixed with like a carbonate molecule. And that when that hits your stomach, basically your stomach sees, these are little tiny, it's called total dissolved solids. It's a measurement in the water. And when your body sees that the water has a certain ratio of total dissolved solids, it says, okay, we've got some solid food here that we have to deal with before we can open the pyloric valve at the base of the stomach and allow this to flush into the intestine. Because if you start having solid food and solid minerals, literally little tiny granules of rocks passing into your intestine, you've got a problem. That's why you have stomach acid. And so your body's not able to actually get that water into your intestine as quickly as you want. And in fact, you have a little war going on in your stomach between these alkaline minerals and the hydrochloric acid in your stomach, and it's doing what we all saw in science class. When you mix baking soda and vinegar together, it makes a volcano. Whereas if you drink water that's alkaline because it has a high concentration of dissolved hydrogen, it's hydrogen rich, then your body doesn't identify any solids in the water. And so it opens the pyloric valve, it goes right into the intestine, and that's one of the reasons your body absorbs it so fast. It literally can get into your bloodstream in a matter of seconds or minutes, because it doesn't have to sit and slosh around in your stomach. Oh, and by the way, when it does happen, the average density of a cluster of the molecules has been dropped from about between 12 and 15 molecules per cluster down to 5 or 6 molecules per cluster, which makes them significantly smaller than the average porosity of a cell membrane in a mammal, so you can absorb the water really quickly and you don't have to pee most of it out through your kidneys. Okay, that's a level 3 conversation, and there are people that will buy when you have that conversation. They may not even know what the hell you just said, but they'll say, sounds technical, sign me up, because that's just what they're into. That's who they think, that's how they think of themselves. That's their paradigm for a smart decision. And so you got to be able to go there with, I mean, you don't have to, but you'll make more sales if you can. So, and on the business side, you know, if you're talking to somebody who's in this industry and you start talking about, you know, why is this compensation plan such a good compensation plan? Well, what makes it, I mean, really, and I'm not even necessarily going to take the time to explain it right now, but what, if you had to explain to someone who's in this industry, which, by the way, if you're talking to someone who's got a background in home-based business, that probably means that's someone who could, you know, I mean, theoretically, they could have some stored potential energy that they bring to the business, where if you do get them to sign up, you do get them excited, they could bring their base of experience with them and maybe generate a lot of activity for you very quickly. But if they say to you, well, what's really so exciting about this compensation plan? You know, what's your answer? What, you know, when they say, when somebody says to you, well, yeah, you told me that you can make a $2,700 commission, but you can't actually make a $2,700 commission until you've made 100 sales. In fact, your first sale, you can only make a $375 commission. Why should I be excited about that? You have to know the answers. You have to be able to say, well, that's because the company has a patented compensation plan that basically breaks every commission into shares, and they give the new person the smallest share so that they can give the person who's been in the business longer the bigger share via a roll-up, which means, yeah, you're right, this business isn't built around how much money can you make in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. You're not going to get a car bonus. They're not going to hand you the keys to a brand new Mercedes because you blew the top off your first 90 days. That's what companies that are here today and gone tomorrow do. That's what companies that get shut down by the FTC do. That's what companies that are all about the hype and that do all those things that we don't have to do because we have a company that's been around for 42 years. That's what they do. This is a company that rewards longevity. There's such a, in the story of the tortoise and the hare, this company rewards the tortoise. Just the only way to fail at this company is to stop. Whereas a lot of companies, you'll spend yourself out of business because you have to generate enough sales to pay for your auto ship in order to even stay in the business. With this business, you just have to keep going, and over time, it naturally gets better and better and better, and it never has any setbacks built into it because they're not always forcing you to keep up with a pace car. And so, you got to understand this stuff well enough to hang, so to speak. And what I found is that the more, the cool thing here is the more study you do, and the more expertise you gain, and the more you become sort of skilled at peppering out the right amount of information at the right time, this has something for everyone. That's why I think these skills are so important. I'm saying, okay, I'm going to learn how to give any one person what it is that they need in the moment to meet them where they are, because if you do that well enough, you'll find that more than any other program you've probably ever been in, certainly that I've ever been in, this has a mass appeal. I won't say a universal appeal because you're never going to get everybody, but I mean, I am literally shocked at the percentage of people that I've had a serious conversation with about either the product or the business who are now either customers of the product or participants in the business. I mean, they say, well, you gotta have 100 conversations to book 10 appointments or get 10 serious leads to make one sale. That's, I think that's probably true in most types of sales. It's going to take 100 contacts to make a sale. I would say in this, I'm probably batting anywhere from 25 to 40% of the people that I have serious conversations with. I guess I'm pretty good at not even getting into the conversation if I've already disqualified them. So those are really kind of the only conversations I have. But I guess my point is, I'm just still, even after a little over 4 months in the business, I'm absolutely blown away by how universal the appeal is here. And I've sold this to, retired people. I've sold this to people that are younger than me. I've sold it to men. I've sold it to women. I've sold it to friends. I've sold it to family. I've sold it to people I've never met. I sold it to an Uber driver. I sold it to a guy who's an executive with a Fortune 500 technology company. I mean, it's just insane to me how much this cuts across all of humanity. It's by, again, just because it's water. But in order to really reap the benefit of that, you've got to learn how to have these very nuanced conversations, which are going to push you outside of your comfort zone. One of the big growth areas for me in life with this business has been on more of like the storytelling, sort of human, empathetic, connecting side of the business. I've always been very sort of technical and analytical, but as I've developed this sort of ability to sort of empathize and emote through communication, that speaks to a whole other group of people, and has just really broadened the business for me. And for a lot of people, it's the other way around. Maybe that's what they do really well. My wife, for example, is the most like sort of organic, just natural, empathetic, positive energy person. People just love her and connect with her, and she connects with people so naturally in a way that I don't know why she picked me, but I'm glad she did. But she's not nearly as analytical and technical. And if she were in, doing this business with me, maybe she would be working on growing in that area. But be honest with yourself and say, this is kind of where I'm strong and this is where I'm weak. But if you, this is why I like this exercise. If you say, okay, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna sort of map out what is my level 1 conversation about the health benefits of the business, the health benefits of the product. What does that conversation look like? What's my level 2 conversation look like, where I'm giving enough to sort of move it out of story land and into some features and benefits land, but I'm not getting technical? And what does my level 3 conversation look like, where to some degree I'm really just showing them that I know more, that I know a lot about this thing, so that, because there's some people that just need to see that. And then similarly on the business side, what is my level 1 conversation? What's my level 2 conversation? What's my level 3 conversation? And honestly, have that conversation with yourself in the mirror. One of the reasons I always volunteer to host the Tactical Tuesday calls, and it's actually one of the reasons I wanted to do it standing up today, is because I'm literally staring at myself in a computer screen, looking back at myself. And it's, I don't love everything about it. I don't love the lighting. I don't love the fact you can see the fan spinning above my head. And I don't love the few extra pounds that I've gained since my baby was born. But still, it's a good exercise. Do things back at yourself. And so have these 6 different types of conversations in the mirror with yourself before you go out and try to spring them on the world. And I can assure you they'll be more effective. Now, that's one action step that I can leave you with is mapping out these 6 different kinds of conversations, and really, thinking about different people in your life and who would be applicable for each one, and then practicing them in the mirror. That's honestly going to be a pretty big, powerful exercise if you really do it. But the other thing that I wanted to share with you before I end the call, because I really do like to be very tactical with these calls and kind of give almost like challenges or action plans for myself as much as for you as well. And this came out of the event too. There was a lot of talk at the event about a 90-day challenge, and I will actually own, I had to leave the event. I spoke at the event on the Power Life Pro Day, and then I had to leave shortly after that because my newborn baby actually had to go to the hospital, and so I had to get in my car and drive back to my home from Las Vegas. So I missed a lot of the event. So apologies if I get any of this wrong, but my understanding is they were issuing a 90-day challenge at the event that was based on something like 90 shares in 90 days. And whatever it is, figure out what's right for you. But I would say give yourself a 90-day goal. And I personally have been trying to make sure that I share this business with one person every day. I know that some teams have used a point system, which I like this idea. I know there's one of the big teams has a point system. They kind of have a challenge within their team where they have different points for different things you can do in the business. Like a 3-way call is 3 points. An actual sale is 5 points. Sharing water with a person is 2 points. Following up with someone is 1 point, and so on. I really do like that kind of a system. But whatever it is, start to be measurable. And you've probably heard of SMART goals. If you haven't, Google the term SMART goals. It means specific, measurable, attainable. Oh dear, wow. I shouldn't bust out acronyms if I can't remember what they mean, right? Something and timely. Basically things that you can track, things that you can hold yourself accountable to. And for me, I like the idea of 90 shares in 90 days. And this is what I'm aiming to get out of it. I'm not focusing on sales within that. I'm focusing on, over the course of 90 days, if I share this, either the water or the business, with 90 people, I want to develop 5 case studies, 5 personal testimonials, 5 people who will say something along the lines of, that conversation I had with Jeff Lerner, or that exposure that Jeff Lerner gave me to this product or this water or this business or whatever it is, was absolutely profound turning point for me in my life. That just drinking, whether it's the water, drinking the water is, renewed my energy and giving me a new lease on life, or I finally feel like I'm on the right track to quitting my job, whatever it is. All I'm concerned with is sharing the product or the business 90 times in 90 days. And out of that, gathering 5 people that will say really nice things about me and about the fact that I did. That's it. Now, what I found is already as a function of that, I sold 4 K8 machines in 10 days. And I've got some more coming up in the next week that I think are going to do it. It's when you make it not so focused on the sale, all this other really cool stuff happens. But anyways, and I do know that this hangout is scheduled for an hour, so I think it might be about to cut off on us, but I wanted to keep it to an hour anyway. So that's my my parting request of you, is that you have these 6 conversations with yourself in the mirror, and that you set a 90-day action plan for yourself. If you want to do it with me, it's 90 shares in 90 days to create 5 positive testimonials for yourself. Anyway, thank you so much. Make it a great night. It's been a great tactical Tuesday, even if we were a little late getting started. So I'm signing off, everyone. Take care.